Hey, real quick, Yahoo, they did a thing where they redrafted the 2020 NFL draft. Okay. And
who'd we get?
The hindsight 2020.
The hindsight 2020 draft. And it's funny because that was the draft where CeeDee Lamb and then Diggs both went in that particular draft. What's amazing about it is, though, you get to the top 10 of the draft, Jacksonville at 9, they took C.J. Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
The redraft said they should have taken Diggs.
Yeah.
And then the Browns pick at 10 says they took Jarek Willis, and the new pick should have been CeeDee Lamb.
Wow. So you had 2 top 10 picks that year.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
If you redraft it from according to Yahoo.
How high did Jefferson end up going? If you don't mind
he
me
probably went
asking.
number 3 overall.
Number 3 overall. Hang on, let me get
That'd be my guess.
Let me get to that.
I'm sure there was
particular.
The only thing that would
the
go
Bengals hit on their pick. I mean, the Bengals
with Chase.
Well, they took Burrow.
Oh, of course.
So
okay.
Burrow, the new pick was Burrow. The Commanders they got rid of Chase Young, and they took Justin Herbert. That was one of those that their fortunes of their team could be really different.
I'm glad they did that.
If they would have the Detroit Lions, they took Jeff Okudah. Justin Jefferson should have been the pick at 3.
Gotcha.
There you go.
That's what they said. So
yeah, I mean, outside of the quarterbacks, he's been the best player from that draft so far.
Absolutely. All right. I asked Bobby some of these questions yesterday. I don't know if everybody got to hear our show, and I know we did a few of these for the love of the star. But, I mean, I kind of thought these questions were pretty good, and I wanted your guys' answers on these particular Cowboys questions. And so if you will humor me and do this, I appreciate it. Chief, I'll start with you. Is there too much pressure on Jalen Tolbert this season?
There may prove to be for him, but I don't think we're asking too much of him in year number 2 to be what is he really being asked? Assuming Michael Gallup gets back to form, you're asking him to be a number 4 wide receiver. If that's too much for you, then this sport's too much for you, and that's a huge bummer. Huge swing and miss there. I mean, if you were asking him to be your number 1 or even your number 2, I'd be like, okay, maybe that's a little, he didn't do anything last year. I'm just trying to have a respectable number 4 wide receiver, and if you can look at times like a number 3 wide receiver, I'll throw a huge Jalen Tolbert party at the end of the year. So hopefully it's not too much pressure for him, because otherwise this is just not the business for him, because I don't think the Cowboys have legit 3 guys ahead of him. They're not asking him to go crazy and have a huge number 1 or number 2 type year.
You think the pressure, though, for where he was picked, and they were talking about him maybe drafting him in the 2nd round, do you think that pressure of the fans, the front office, and all that?
Oh, I'm sure for him it probably feels like a lot. So, but a lot of these guys feel that. I mean, that's the nature of the business. There is, yes, pressure that comes along with being a Cowboys football player that is, was a day 2 pick. So, yeah, but I don't think it's too much. It's not like unheard of type pressure. If he caves, then that's a bummer.
Yeah, I'm going to say no because you have 3 receivers in front of him. He doesn't have the pressure. I think last year was too much in the expectations for him. He had to be. Like this time last year, they didn't have that many receivers. Yeah, I mean, they were so hurt, he might have had to be your number 2 at one point going out there. So now, depth chart-wise, no. And I think a lot of the fan base is soured on him to where they don't have expectations for him whatsoever anymore. They're kind of thinking he was a bust. They're already chalking that up. So if he can give you anything, it's a benefit. So, no, I think Jalen Tolbert, other than the pressure he creates for himself, the outside perception, I think, no.
Come back with you on this one. How about this? I asked Bobby this question yesterday, so I'll ask you guys this question as well. What if Mazi Smith is just okay? And I mean okay as in this year. He's just an okay player. There's nothing spectacular about him, or there's nothing that you're like, oh, it's not, he doesn't look like he's got it, What if he's just okay?
I think that would be fine considering where they took him and the position that he plays. I think he's got to be at least okay when it comes to run defending. Like if something happens and all of a sudden Mazi Smith doesn't make any impact that we think he's going to make in the run game, then we're going to have some problems there because it's like, wow, we drafted this guy thinking he's the best run stuffer in the draft, and he ends up struggling at that. The question mark is how much you're going to get from him as a pass rusher, right? Can they get into that untapped potential? I think as long as he's okay as a rookie, you'll go into next season thinking, all right, we want to see a jump. But as long as it's not bad, if it's just okay, we'll be fine.
Yeah, my only expectation for Mazi Smith is to be a good run defender, particularly this year and maybe even throughout the entirety of his career. I think he has a chance to be a big guy, as athletic as he is, that can still get after the quarterback a little bit on the interior, but I don't have any expectation that he's going to be that. And so as long as he's a decent run defender, I think you're in good shape. If he's not a good run defender, and then you're like, okay, what else is this guy? Then there's going to be questions like, is this guy ever going to be good? Because that's the one calling card that we assumed he'd step in day one and be, an above average NFL run defender, and hopefully by the end of the season, a really, really dang good one. And so then a lot of pressure comes on Jonathan Hankins to be a healthy run stopper for you, because those are the only two guys you can trust.
Come back at you with this one. Is there a chance that DaRon Bland is the best corner on this squad?
I guess there is a chance, because he really was so dang good last year. And so if you think that, like, man, he's so young and he should be getting even better, but that's not always the case. These guys don't always get better. So
do you think he might regress?
Yeah, I think that's probably more likely than he's the best corner on the team. And it's just because you've got two guys that have been all pros. Stephon Gilmore's a former defensive player of the year. Like, those dudes are bona fide. They've had the track record of success. I think DaRon Bland could end up being really, really good. And 2 years from now, maybe he is the best corner on the team.
Okay.
It's subjective, but I'm already in the DaRon Bland over Trevon Diggs thing. For me, it's just, is he better? Could he be better than Stephon Gilmore? And I don't know that that's something that could happen. I think Stephon Gilmore's still legit.
If you said there maybe a guy would regress of the young players, Bland or Tyler Smith?
I'd go Bland, and I think we've seen this happen with Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown is a 6th-round pick, shocked everyone, and then he regressed his second year.
Yeah, because DaRon Bland was so good last year that, like, for him to have a season that's a little less than that, I think is possible. I don't think Tyler Smith wasn't really dominating people last year, but I don't think he's regressing from what he did last year.
If you had to look at Tyler Smith, and the fact we were all thinking that maybe, like, oh, he's going to give up sacks, he's going to get holding penalties and all that. I mean, do you feel like he kind of dodged something there? That's what I kind of. Do you think he reverts back? That's kind of what I'm saying, that he just went through that whole first year where he wasn't penalized and he didn't give up a bunch of sacks. You know?
I don't expect that. I'd be surprised by that. I wouldn't be surprised if DaRon Bland is a little bit less productive or good on the field than he was last year.
Yeah, I would just expect the technique and all of that to improve with Tyler this season. So I'd be bummed if that were to happen.
But he is getting caught in the a different offensive line coach, so
yeah,
some of that.
That's the thing I worry about.